Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to From the Depths of Basic Cargo. Now, we are over here in the designer mode because I lost some footage. I was working on the next episode of the campaign, and we were mostly taking defensive fights while I was waiting for some backup to go against the Lightning Hoods when they sent a vehicle called the Aeterna at us. Now we're going to go ahead and spawn one of these in, and we're currently paused, so it'll take a minute for the paints to update. In fact, let's just unpause, and there we go. Now, the Aeterna is a 417,000 absolute beast of, I don't know what you'd call this. It's a hovercraft, basically. It's got some rubber pegs on the bottom so that if it ever bounces off against the floor, it can recover. And it's got this weird obsession with spawning two of these things inside of each other, and then they blow up. I don't know. This happened in the campaign, this happened in the first attempt to record this, and it's happened again. So at this point, I'm just assuming that this is a intentional feature of the Aeterna. But anyway, Aeterna. But I believe, and I'm not an expert, but I believe it is Latin for light eternal, which is of course a badass name. Now this thing itself has a bunch of very large lasers, some gimbal laser turrets. It's got some laser munition defense scattered all over the side of it, and it's got some really strong shields. Now, what we had going against it was two pair of Spartans, so 4 Spartans in total, as well as a pair of a viewer craft that's called the Storm Cloud. Now, the Storm Cloud, it's a little bit difficult to see through the black shields, but this is a particle cannon bomber. It's got 2 particle cannons in it that charge up for, I believe, 30 seconds, and then they deliver a pretty crushing pack blast. So we had 2 of those and 4 of these. Now these are the Spartans. Now there seems to be a group that watches every build video and a group that watches every campaign video. So in case you aren't familiar with the build video of the Spartan, these are a primarily heavy armor built to fight into the Lightning Hood's craft. I don't love the idea of like hard countering every enemy. However, I had nothing with any form of shields or smoke or anything like that to go against lasers, so I needed something with both of it, and I ended up with this. So this is the Spartan. When it detects lasers, it turns its AI or its movement off, and it sits still in its own smoke cloud with its strength, I think 10 shield or 8 shield or something like that. And it just face tanks lasers. The entire front of it is heavy armor, as well as the whole chassis, and it delivers a pretty hefty volley of missiles. The guns on it are just firing flak because I like flak. They fire flak because they do. Okay, not because it's amazing, but because they do. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this fight. All right. As we can see, it has its sub-vehicles glitched into each other and exploded, causing a pretty big initial strike of damage. It's got a lot of missiles going towards that storm cloud. The first bunch have missed, but it looks like the rest of that volley is going to connect pretty well. Oh, we got shields going down. It skews off to the right. We had a lot of missiles connect with this, and oh my. Well, hang on a second. Let's pause. So, let's do a side-to-side comparison. This is what it looks like at full health, and this is what it looks like now. So we had oh. Yeah, so the Aeterna has an immensely powerful laser munition defense system, and it has very powerful shields as well, but it does not have very thick armor. So the missile volley from the Spartans is very capable of blasting through it. Look at that. In terms of pure material advantage, it's kind of hard to say exactly which one of these is stronger. So the Lightning Hoods, of course, use a ton of RTGs, so the actual cost of their craft is a little bit inflated. Oh man. Anyway, the other fights that we missed from the footage that I lost were mostly defensive fights against small vehicles, a lot of White Flayers aggression that we had to sort of stave off, but hopefully we'll see plenty more in the fights to come. So let's go ahead and hop back into the campaign. Alright, so here we are back in the campaign mode. Now, we have a bit of a fight going on at the bit of a border. Gonna pause it as soon as the camera coloration goes back to being normal, and we'll take a look-see at this. This is a Cataphract. It's 42k. It is vastly outmatched. Ah, wait. I had a small tank idea that I threw together. This is called the Speculatores. It's a small little scout vehicle with an intra-vehicle transmitter on it that simply follows things and does... Oh my god, all the Todd Howards are off. That's unacceptable. Anyway, it's a small little scout vehicle with an intra-vehicle transmitter that just follows around and relays detections to other things. Now let's take a little bit of a look-see at this, because unlike most White Flayers craft, it's not actually covered in spikes. That's thing number one. Thing number two, the front wheels are trying to turn, but they're very far off the ground. Thing number three, this has some... Those large missile flares? They look like large missile flares. Okay, it's got its APS, it's got this, that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is actually meant to be a combat craft. I guess it has a rather large APS, but it doesn't seem to be firing very fast. It also doesn't seem to be turning very fast, so just... It's got a turning thruster, and its wheels are absolutely cranked to the side. Ah! We blew off part of its rear thrusters, which is throwing off its ability to turn right, which is what it's trying to do. Yeah, that one lost control. That one lost control. Seems to have lost control. And let's go ahead and board this one just to see what ends up happening. Now we can actually take mild control over the Todd Howards. Of course, it never ends well. That's fine. We need to do a little bit of a rebuild of the Todd Howards. So when I built the Todd Howards, originally I did not know how to use the roll bars on them. And it turns out that the roll bars are actually very, very good at keeping things stable. So, we could go back and do a rebuild of the Todd Howard. Did it just ram a Todd Howard? It did, didn't it? You know, for a vehicle with no rams, that was not your wisest decision. It's gotta be said, it is fast, though. It's also going to slightly uneven terrain, which is about the bane of my existence. But this Todd Howard has gotten in range. Well done, Todd! It took 6 of you, but it just worked. Oh man, I need to redesign these. They're really good on perfectly flat ground. Unfortunately, most of the everything is not on perfectly flat ground. Ah, that's what we were waiting for. So we've got a Hippo logistics vehicle heading over here. We're going to build up a pretty large force to attack over here. There's 2 of these tectonic craft over here on the right-hand side. So we're going to need some serious power to break through there. There's just 1 of them over here. So we're going to move these 3 armies up into attack position.
Listening. Moving out.
Oh, no. Not yet.
Listening.
We're going to take this fight first before they barricade that... blockade that helicopter. Going up against a Forsaken. Let's take a look at this. Ah, yes, this is the missile craft. With the, it's got little hatches on spin blocks. And it's also got this little icon here, which, isn't actually on a lot of them, but it looks very cool. It's got radiators out the back, which also I really like. It's got that icon again. And I really love this track design. Looks like some of his missiles are connecting, but not too many. Night Witch coming in for a strafe run, and oh, good hits. Good hits. Oh, what was that? Well done. Very nice, very nice. Now to start off with, I am going to pause it. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have so far. So this over here is a laser turret. Oh my god, it looks beautiful. Okay, so it's using particle accelerators and then mimicked ring shields all over the place, and then glass. Well, I guess they're not necessarily mimicked. They could just be decoration. But ring shields, glass, to make it look like there's stuff going through tubes inside of tubes. It's got laser defense nodes on it. Very nice, very nice. It's got this light green, which is a color that's not too common on the Lightning Head's craft. It's got a lot of internal space, which is rather interesting. I see no EMP protection as a side note. But more to the point, let's check out this Tectonic over here. So this is 160k, looks like a land battleship, and it has this, that is a... Oh my god, I want that. I'm guessing that this spins. That looks like a decoy. Like an infrared decoy or something. And this whole thing is glass and material gatherers. As well as munition warners. Munition defense. Okay, so it's probably got big honking lasers. And what are you? What are you? A particle cannon. Aha! So it's got a particle cannon on the back of it as well. And I thought there was something else. Yes, we have one of these. A light missile turret. Okay, so we got this interesting thing going on here where we got a lot of missiles going at the laser turret. And if they miss the laser turret, they're going to be heading straight at the light missile turret. So that's probably going to be... both of those are going to be dead in just a second here. And then the small missiles from the light missile turret are firing at this thing. And it looks like they've actually torn through the outer shell of it. Interesting enough. So let's go ahead and just keep tabs on this Stormcloud over here to see if it can get its first burst off. Looks like it is going to be targeting that. Oh, nope. No shots coming from it. Shield's keeping it fairly safe. Missiles inbound to the Tectonic. Oh my god, that died in like the first missile volley. Don't mind them, they're just doing their best. For the most part, only flak shells have been fired at this. And there come the missiles. And there goes the turret. Very nice. Hey guys, I've got a short little message here for anyone who's interested in an update that's relative to just FTD on the YouTube channel. If you're just here for the campaign episode, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon with the next one. Alright, so I've got a new vehicle, and I've got a whole time-lapse for the build that I want to show off before I use it in the campaign. And I mentioned that I lost some footage, so this episode is a little shorter than I intended it to be. But if you're enjoying the series so far, likes, comments, shares, so on and so forth really helps the series do well. It helps the channel do well. And as a side, I mentioned this in a couple of build videos, but I'll go ahead and mention it here in the main campaign, that we've got a sub goal of 100 subs. If we hit 100 subs by the time I upload the final episode to the Ashes of the Empire campaign, I'll be publishing all of the craft that I used in it on the Steam Workshop. I do want to sort of mention one thing, that the reason we did the Ashes of the Empire campaign instead of another adventure mode or instead of the Quest for Neater campaign is because I need a capture card in order to do those. You may have noticed that the Thousand Sunny Adventure run came to a rather disappointing end, and I want to sort of explain that now. My computer couldn't record the massive fights without some things crashing occasionally, and if you pair that with the sub-vehicle bug that exists in the adventure mode where sub-vehicles don't load correctly, that means that I was facing constant game crashes, constant OBS crashes, I was losing footage, or I was having to revert back to old game stages, and so on and so forth. And the combination of all of it made it impossible to continue that run towards where I wanted it to go. So we ended up having to cut it short, and it came to a rather disappointing conclusion, and I don't want to do that with a Quest for Neater campaign. That being said, we need a capture card to do that. On a side note, I have fixed my setup for streaming. I had to upgrade my internet, change out a router, change a bunch of cables around because I had to figure out which cable wasn't working correctly, but the point is I can now stream. So you may have noticed this if you're on the Discord. There's been a couple streams. We even did a build stream where I built a submarine, and Editors of Cargo should put some screenshots of that here. I built a couple other vehicles and so on and so forth. But yeah, I'm going to talk more about that in a channel update video that'll be coming out shortly. You may have noticed the Elden Ring video got several thousand views, and right now the FTD stuff generally gets about 80 or 90 at least. FTD is going to stay the main feature on my channel because I want it to be. But anyway, in light of the fact that I need a capture card, I just want to really quick plug the Patreon here. Now, in general, I hate doing this. I haven't done it before, and I won't do it again on this series, but I want people to know that I won't attempt a Quest for Neater, and I won't go late game adventure run until I have a capture card. And the reason is simply that my computer can't record that at any quality, and it won't make for good. It will be a nightmare to edit, and it won't be very good once it's done. So I would much rather wait to get a capture card before I attempt that late game stuff, and the Patreon will help me do that. Now, I'm going to outline all of this in a future update video, but the TLDR is that anything that goes to the Patreon goes straight towards a capture card until we get the capture card, and then there's a bit of a plan beyond that. Anyway, I'm very proud of the Todd Howard Mark III, and I figure it's probably time to mention what we've actually been looking at, this little raft here. Now, this is Home Sweet Home. It's a tiny little raft. I just don't understand why it's spinning in circles. To me, the physics on this make no sense. Like, as far as I can tell, physics is just borked when you use sails. That's it. That's my conclusion. The spin blocks on this aren't moving. There's no forces on this. I can't tell you why it's spinning. I've been Zacargo. This has been fun. I'm sorry I plugged the Patreon, and I'll see you soon with hopefully more from the devs. My plan right now is 2 build videos this week on top of this campaign episode, and then we'll see if I can get another campaign episode out on top of that. I don't know. I'm thinking that maybe since there's a sub goal, I should really pace myself on the campaign episodes. There will probably just be one this week. For now, I've been Zacargo. Thank you all very much for watching. I really do hope you've enjoyed, and I can't wait. Wait, hang on a second. Did that just fix it? It did. It actually just fixed it. Alright. Anyway, I've been Zacargo. This has been fun, and I'll see you soon with some more from the devs.